Wow. Hello, everyone. So, I didn't expect to be making a video so soon, because I just finished Bunny by Mona Awad. I finished that book yesterday, I think, or the day before yesterday, and I just started a new book. That book is called We Used to Live Here. I bought this book yesterday. I just went out to Chapters. I went to the gym after, but before I went to Chapters, and I was just looking for a new book to pick up to read, because books I have right now, I have 10 books I'm just really not interested in. It's either because they're old books, and I find it hard to get through old books sometimes, or it's just, I don't know why. So yeah, anyways, just the books that I had currently, I wasn't super interested in. I just wasn't enjoying the writing of, and I maybe wanted something that came out recently. Because, although Bunny by Mona Awad is a, modern book, it still came out in, 2022 or something, so it's not necessarily the newest book ever. But I basically decided to pick this up, even though it was, $40 in total. I still wanted to pick it up. We Used to Live Here. By Marcus Kliewer. I think that's how you pronounce his name. It's an interesting way of spelling it. I hope that's how you pronounce his name. But yeah, I picked this book up at 4 p.m. at Chapters, got back home, I went to the gym, got back home around 5 p.m., started reading it. I was up until 1:30, and then I woke up at 8, and then I finished it 3 hours later. So I think I finished this book in 6.5 hours or something, or 7 hours, I don't know. But it was pretty insane. Let me just say that. Before we get into it, let me put on my glasses. Just to start, sometimes when I read a really good book, there aren't always things that I want to tab just because of how it flows so well. There isn't really a standout part. So in this book, I only had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Okay, maybe I had a good amount of tabs. But in my last book, I had 30. This one only has 14. But yeah, there weren't a lot of tabs until the halfway point of this book. Not because the book was bad at all. It's not why. It's just because I was so invested in it. I wasn't really thinking about tabbing anything or doing that or anything. And the writing wasn't overly interesting. Not something like Bunny by Mona Awad. It wasn't interesting like that. But just to start off, if you're looking to read this book, you should. And you should pick it up and buy your own copy of it. But things that it reminds me of right off the gate. So people said Get Out meets Parasite. No. I would say if a closer one would be Get Out meets Barbarian, the movie. I know Parasite came up before that and kind of did the whole basement thing or whatever, but I'd say doesn't really have any of the themes that go along with Parasite. There's a little joke about millennials not being able to afford a property nowadays. That might go along with the themes of Parasite, but other than that, didn't remind me of Parasite very much. I would say this book is Get Out, sure, a little bit, but let me do my own thing. Let's say Jordan Peele's Us meets The Haunting of Hill House meets Barbarian. Those are some of my favorite movies as well, which is just crazy to think about that it's all wrapped into one kind of book. But out of all those, Haunting of Hill House just kind of stood out, maybe because of the house. And Barbarian definitely stood out as well, but it also reminds me of that series on Netflix, Dark. It's just kind of this person has obviously seen all of those things and just made a book in 2024, so it's going to be a modern kind of book. But I don't know where to start, really. Like I did last time, I'll probably start with non-spoilers, review of it, just how I felt. I already started talking about what it reminds me of, what I compare it to, so other things. So what did I like about this book? I really liked how the story never got boring. I saw a review on Goodreads that said I got bored halfway through the book. That I don't know why. This was not a boring book. This is anything but a boring book, and I was able to read this in like a sitting, basically. So, it's not boring. Don't know what that person was talking about. This book is very engaging, and it's very entertaining, and it's very creepy. Like, it unsettles you. Like, if you're reading this at night, you're gonna like look around maybe or something and be like, oh, is something gonna come out of the shadows to eat me? Like, it really also convinces you that maybe this paranormal stuff does actually happen. So, I mean, I'll get that into spoilers more so, but, yeah, it just flowed nicely, it was creepy, and I actually loved how it opened, like, what characters it opened with. It feels modern, in, like, a modern setting, you know, this lesbian couple bought a house, right, and they're living together, and then right off the gate, in the first page, this family knocks on the door. And we're started into the action already, and it doesn't like ever make it seem like these people are a threat or something. Not necessarily. It just seems like these are normal people, and like it's just so interesting. Like it's like they're acting so well or something. Like it's like you know that they're probably a threat, but like it's like they convince you so well that they're not a threat. So it throws you off. I'm not going to go into spoilers, whether or not something did happen with that specific family. Because if you've seen Barbarian, I'm going to go into Barbarian spoilers for a quick second. You think that Bill Skarsgård is the bad guy in that movie, right? Turns out he gets killed off in the movie kind of early on. You're like, okay, this is a movie I'm sad for. So back to the book, kind of a similar thing. Similar kind of feeling that it has to it. It feels very knowledgeable towards the state of movies and literature and all that stuff. Not a boring book. Don't listen to anyone saying this is a boring book. It's not. But yeah, I love the setting. Doesn't feel too redundant of anything. It just feels like this is a 2024 thing, you know, it came out. I would say the writing isn't like overly interesting or anything. The problem I had with it was maybe it does feel like a bit of a movie. Like it kind of feels like this is like a script rather than like a full-on crazy warpy book. I want to read House of Leaves. I've heard this be compared to it, but I think House of Leaves maybe uses literature to its advantage a little more. I'll have to find that out. But this book came out like 20 years after House of Leaves, so I don't know. But the writing, you're not gonna get anything super interesting. It's just good writing, and it's intriguing, and it ropes you in, right? I mean, a part of Barbarian that I didn't like was maybe it wasn't artsy enough for whatever kind of film it was. But you're not gonna get too much. You're not gonna get infinite jest with this book. Let me just say that. You're gonna get a classic horror novel, a warm, cozy thing. I love when they mention like wine. The way he describes like wine or booze in this book is amazing. I don't know why. Okay, it just is. But yeah, I mean, for the non-spoiler review, there isn't a lot to say. I mean, basically what it says in the book is family shows up at your door. They don't seem like the type to murder you or anything, so you let them in. What happens next? You have to read the book to find out, right? I mean, I also love the cover of this. The cover is very good. I'm glad to have this on my shelf. But yeah, I mean, for non-spoilers, I mean, I don't really know what else to say other than you should check this out if you like horror, and if you don't like horror, you'll still enjoy it probably a lot. I would say the ending, I was worried it might fall flat, and does it fall flat? No, not exactly. Is it a mind-blowing ending? Not exactly, but it's not like an ending where I'm incredibly disappointed. It just maybe isn't a 10 out of 10, right? So, yeah, that's all I got to say for non-spoilers. I'll go into spoilers now, but yeah, if you haven't read the book, go read it right now, and then come back for the rest of the video. Sorry, guys, I just had to get a thumbnail of that. This book, man, Again, the number one pull of this book is the intriguing creepiness and unsettlingness that it fills you with. Sitting alone with this book, it's scary, it's unnerving. You really don't know what's going to happen. And I find that rare in books or even movies. Like, I don't always feel that like, feeling where, like, what's going to happen, man? You're curious to know what happens. This book opens with a map of the house, and I think it's a very interesting map. It has some interesting, like, sayings on it and stuff, about, like, things that are going to happen, like the Romanian hospital room. Like, that part, out of anything, probably stood out to me the most. The way he described how the hospital room looked and stuff like that. That was very interesting. And yeah, like, going back to the map at the end of the book when he brings it up in acknowledgments was just really interesting. I'm just so confused why he used Get Out meets Parasite. Because, like, it's so reminiscent of Barbarian. Maybe he didn't watch Barbarian because this came out in 2024. Barbarian was 2022. Maybe he didn't watch Barbarian, but, I mean, it's so reminiscent. Like, just the basement, how the basement is, like, designed, it just reminds me so much of that. And Parasite obviously had a basement, but Parasite, it just doesn't remind me of Parasite. And Get Out was a play on, like, it was a different kind of story it was telling, right? I mean, you get, like, the unnerving feeling, like, you should get out of the house, but, like, at the same time, it's kind of like, this is obviously, spoilers, it's a multiverse book, right? Like, has two different realities. Get Out doesn't really have that. It's one bad reality that you want to get the fuck out of, but this is more like Us because of the doppelgangers, right? I mean, did he even see Us? I don't know. Maybe he doesn't watch every movie, which is fine. I mean, he tried his best with what meets what, and I mean, Get Out meets Parasite, maybe that's a more intriguing thing for audiences. But for me, if I saw Haunting of Hill House meets, like, Us or something, I would be more intrigued, in my opinion. I would personally be more intrigued. Anyways, let's go to our first tab we had about halfway through the book. So basically the book opens, family shows up, weird shit. Not too weird, and, like, she's worried about her girlfriend Charlie, right, and stuff. And, like, let's see what I tabbed first. Kai, going for the Oscar, said, I can try, his lip quivering. His father supported him as the way the exit. Kai wenching with each step. You'll be hearing from us, do you understand? Okay, so that's when the family left the house, I think, when they were still in the reality, and, like, the dog bit him, because fuck that kid, bro. Wearing an orange hoodie. I tabbed this with an orange thing. I just like the description of orange hoodie. Don't ask me why. It was just interesting to me. They were doing a little flashback of someone else who had, like, a reality thing, who wasn't in the same reality. Those people didn't exist. So yeah, I just found that interesting. I had to crane my neck to see, but in the hallway, he looks up, a hospital hallway, greenish white walls, tile floor. It looked brand new, just like the door. So that's the Romanian hospital. That stood out to me a lot. So on their way down the mountain, Eve stared out to the passing trees, her forehead pressing against the glass. The reflection of her wary eyes overlaid the darkening woods outside. So, like, she was in a car, she's looking at the woods. It's like an overlay of her eyes. I thought that description was the first really good description in the book. Nothing is described poorly. I'm just saying there's some things that stand out to you where you would want to go and read them back for your own writing or just for your own enjoyment. And that stood out to me. The faint impression against a wool blanket all seemed calm. The faint impression of the setting sun filtered through the gray clouds like a flashlight pressed against a wool blanket. I like that, and I want to go back and read it to understand it more, and I get it now. Okay, anyways. Okay, so one of my favorite parts in the book is when the woman starts, like, counting down. 15, 14, 13. You have to hide. The realization hit Eve with a sick and sudden lurch. This was a game of hide and seek. That was just interesting to me. Eve grasped her hands along smooth brick walls until she bumped into a solid object. Wooden and splintery. A shuttered wardrobe. She clambered inside, yanked the door shut. So, in my book, right, the one I'm writing right now, I wanted... For some reason, Dead by Daylight kept coming back to me, right? Like the silent Hill character, Conehead or whatever, that was in the Dead by Daylight game. I just kept imagining that, and I kept imagining, like, how you have to hide in those lockers in Dead by Daylight, right? And they literally have her hide in a shuttered wardrobe, basically like how it is in Dead by Daylight. And I just thought that was interesting. And it makes me want to read more from this author if they ever release more stuff, because they get the references, and it's just interesting. I know that's 100% a reference to Dead by Daylight. Like, there's no other way. It's got to be. A sharp gust of wind slammed against the barred windows, and the house lights flickered. So that, just like the way it was imprinted in there, just made me feel like a chill and kind of like unsettled, right? I thought that was interesting. 2 tabs on 2 different pages next to each other. Well, Thomas jumped in. He'll certainly be missed, but I think we can all agree change is an opportunity in disguise. He looked around the table almost like he expected applause. Crickets. That was just funny, especially in the context of 268, page 268. It was just funny. Then 269. Oh, hi, Jenny shook her head. I don't think the dog gets paid. Well, Thomas wiped his mouth with a napkin. It should. So this was just at a point in the book where it was really creepy and unsettling, and just like those imprints of humor actually did work for me. They actually did. It was just like funny. It was like so stupid it was funny. Like that dad humor coming in. No, Devin suggested that maybe we can add a joke here. Okay, so this was, so I guess this is the only part I would compare to Parasite in the entire book. Like, I could compare this to a scene in Parasite where they smell him and they just, like, look away. Like when, at the end of the movie in Parasite. Okay, anyways. No, Devin suggested that maybe we can add a joke here about the most unbelievable part of Emma's story, so Eve, is the fact that she claimed 2 millennials could afford property. Dev thinks that this type of stuff works well with the younger generations. I'm not so sure. I don't think it feels right, tonally speaking. Now, Officer Kieran opts to the pressure. If only a small amount. He waits for Emma to collect herself, then strikes with... Okay. It was just making a joke about... I was... Honestly, one of the first things I thought when opening the book was, how the fuck did these 2 lesbians afford a house? I mean, like... This book clearly takes place in a modern-day setting, like 2020s, right? How the fuck did they afford a property? And then... They were obviously flipping it. I think I realized that just now. They were flipping properties, and that's what they do for a living. But, I mean, yeah, the joke is funny. Okay. He caught my eyes across the room and gave me a bleak smile. The side of his face was gashed with a familiar scar. So, he caught my eyes across the room and gave me a bleak smile. I thought that was just... This whole scene where he comes back was very well described, of how he's looking down, like, gloomily or something. I don't know. The whole scene where he comes back to the psych ward and talks to Eve is a very interesting scene. I like that. Anyways, listen. I don't understand this book. I get it, but I don't understand the full what the fuck is going on. I want to read House of Leaves now so bad, man, because what the fuck. I think if I had any theory, let me think of the theory. Damn. I don't know what happened, man. These people took over the house. Okay, so obviously at the end, she sees Allison by the woods as she's taken out by the police, right? I think it's clear that Allison was set free from the madness because maybe Eve replaced her somehow or something. I'm honestly not a theorist person. Like, I can theorize, sure, but I'm not the person to come up with the smartest theory, like, in any situation. Like, it'd take me a long time to figure things out. I'm probably going to look up some theories. Like, I always like watching explain videos, to be honest. Like, I don't like coming up with my own stuff. But anyways, I think at the end of the book, Allison set herself free through Eve and went back to whatever shit reality she had left, or maybe just stayed in this reality but was free to roam. I really don't know. But there's a lot of good descriptions in this book, and there's a lot of just interesting visuals, and maybe my biggest thing is it's redundant a little bit of other works. I can see them all clearly thrown through. It's not anything super new, right? But I mean, what do you expect, right? It's a good book, solid throughout. And I mean, sure, I don't get the ending, but does it take away too much? Not really. I'm going to give this one a 4 out of 5 stars. A light 4, though, not like a super heavy 4. I read through it quickly, but the ending didn't blow my mind completely, and it was a bit redundant of other things. But overall, some great ideas here. With it's a decent book. You should go check it out. Anyways, that's my review, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.